I've had a few comments requesting this unique video because of the recent changes to Ramph, so today's guide is a full video on all the fish and their buffs in Path of Titans. First, we're going to cover a few general tips about fish, and then talk about Ramph's Fishy Breath ability and how to utilize it, and then we'll be covering all the fish buffs in the game and which fish they come from. Before we jump in, here are a few important tips about the fish mechanics in Path of Titans. First off, and probably the most well known, is the fact that water quality affects the spawn rate of fish. If the water quality drops too low, fish will stop spawning altogether until the water quality gets higher again. The other tip to note here is that overfishing in Path of Titans is actually a real thing. If a lot of fish are killed in quick succession, quote, the respawn rate of fish will plummet and only small fish will respawn. So be especially mindful of these things if you're planning on utilizing fish buffs from fish in a small source of water. The reason why fish buffs are suddenly more important is because of Ramph's new Fishy Breath ability. Fishy Breath allows Ramph to apply its current active fish buff to all group members within 50 meters. So now, Ramph can actually play a minor support role as well, instead of just making a bunch of noise. Remember though, if you wish to maximize your Ramph's fish buffing ability, do not swallow the fish whole. Instead, set it down and bite pieces off. After one swallow, you'll gain the desired buff without having to consume the whole fish. This will minimize the time spent fishing, as several Ramphs can simply bite pieces off the same fish when they wish to apply that buff, instead of having to hunt a new fish every single time. So we're going to zip through these fish and their related buffs pretty quickly because there aren't too many of them. Also note that all the fish buffs that I tested seem to last 2 minutes. Arapaima provide a health and bleed healing buff, although the health healing buff appears to only work out of combat. Catfish provide an HP buff. This appears to be a max HP buff, not a healing buff. Green turtles provide an armor buff. Basilemus, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right, provide an armor buff as well. Kelp sharks provide a bleed healing buff. Manta rays provide a swim speed buff. Stingrays provide a venom healing buff. Pike provide a stamina regeneration buff. Trout provide a bleed healing buff. And Tuna provide a stamina regeneration buff. There are currently 2 common fish in the game that appear to provide no buff at all: Arowana and Bluegill. So keep an eye out and avoid killing these fish if you're looking for fish that provide buffs, because as mentioned earlier, leaving some fish alive should help with the larger fish's respawn rates. So there you have it, a complete guide to fish, and I guess technically turtles, sharks, and rays too, and their buffs. I hope you all found this helpful. On average, only about 10% of my viewers that watch these videos regularly are subscribed. So if you find yourself already coming back to watch my content, consider subscribing to help the channel grow. Anyhow, I've been your host Conor, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.